EA Sports. It's in the game.
So the outcome is that Ponting has won the toss and elected to field. Well, with me in the a big audience is waiting to welcome these two sides onto the field. So let's take a look at the teams. Here's the team for West Indies. They're about to start their innings. Australia require 79 to win. Dillon is after that one. The sweeper picks up. There's the first runs of the day for Australia. Collymore to Ponting. Stopped by Dillon. Ponting facing. Collymore to bowl to Ponting. There it goes. Hurley is chasing that one. Hurley couldn't quite reach it. Hurley just picks that up inside the rope. Two runs to Ponting. Gone over the top with that, and it looks like 4 runs. That's the first boundary for Ponting.
What a good placement. No one at home, over the top for 4.
7 runs came from that over for Australia. The required run rate is around 8 and over.
The one-day fielding restrictions really give attacking batsmen an advantage at the start of the innings.
Hit straight to a fielder. 72 runs required. That's in the stands. 6 runs. Dylan won't like that at all.
Well, he just picked that right off his nose and smashed it over the boundary. Thrilling to watch.
Hayden waiting at the striker's end. It's straight at Collingwood. Dylan to Hayden. Powell is in pursuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Picked up by Powell. Two more for Hayden. Hayden facing.
Oh dear, that's a poor piece of fielding. He seemed to take his eye off the ball.
It's straight at Pines. Dylan to bowl to Hayden. That's over the rope. 6 runs off Dylan. That takes him into double figures.
That was a super shot. I really didn't think it was too bad a ball.
14 runs were picked up from that over by Hayden. The required run rate is around 7 and over. Collymore at the start of his run-up. Ponting waiting at the striker's end. Oh, what a catch.
Needed an early wicket and they got it.
Collymore gets his first wicket. This was the end of the innings for Ponting. Ponting is making his way back to the pavilion. Powell is not going to reach that. That was beautifully turned off his legs before.
That was a gift for the batsman.
Collymore to Bevan. It's straight to a fielder. Bevan facing. Gale is after it. It's straight at Gale. Collymore with the final ball of his spell. Dylan is chasing that one. That's 2 more runs on the board. 6 runs came from that over by Collymore. The required run rate is around 7 and over. Breaks is in pursuit.
Yeah.
They've turned that into 2. That's good running. Dillon continues. Wide ball signalled by the umpire.
The umpires are pretty strict on wide deliveries in one-day cricket, so you need to keep the ball pretty straight.
He smacked that over the top and been rewarded with 4. That was a superb placement.
Well, he just got away with it. Risky shot. I'd recommend keeping the ball on the ground at this stage.
Dillon to bowl to Hayden. Sawan is after that one.
Yeah.
Collected by Sawan. A single to Hayden. Over the top and away for 4. Bevan very quickly onto that one.
The bowler needs to avoid giving away boundaries, so he must keep it tight.
Bevan facing. That's a big hit. It'll go all the way. Bevan absolutely smashed that for 6.
Great strike. It looked like 6 the moment he struck it.
16 runs came from that over. The required run rate is around 5.5 and over. Comfortably held by Samuels.
That was a lazy shot. He'll regret that when he sees the replay.
Rhodes gets his first wicket. Let's take a look at that in slow motion. Australia 2 down now for 45.
His captain won't be happy with him getting himself out like that.
Collymore is after it. Collymore out there in the deep. They've turned that into 2. That's good running. Brilliant catch.
Excellent catch. The batsman can't believe he held on to that.
Lehman scored 2 runs from 2 balls. Rhodes gets his second wicket. This was how the innings ended for Lehman.
That's a long walk back when you haven't scored many runs.
Bevan facing. Safely taken by Collymore.
For those of you watching at home, that's a good example of how to take a catch.
Rhodes gets his 3rd wicket. Rhodes to bowl to Gilchrist. This was how the wicket fell. Australia 4 down now for 48. Hit straight to a fielder. 5 overs are left in the innings.
They've been riding above the run rate required so far. Good batting by Australia.
Burley to Martin. It's beaten the fielder, but it won't go all the way. Fielded by the man at long on. Just 1 run. That's been given as a wide. He's got it into the gap. Powell out at long on. There's just one there. Stopped by Dylan. An easy sink. I think he was easily back in the crease there. Gilchrist facing. Samuels is after it.
Run.
Foolish running. That's simply throwing wickets away.
Great fielding. That was a superb throw.
Let's see the action replay of that. Australia are 5 down now for 52.
Well, he didn't get many out there.
5 runs came from that over for Australia. The required run rate is around 6.5 and over. Nice shot down the ground.
Oh dear, that's a terrible misfield. More runs to the batting team.
Superb shot. Drakes is not impressed.
That was a poor ball and it got the treatment it deserved.
Just one run. Gilchrist waiting at the striker's end. Drakes to bowl to Gilchrist.
Oh dear, that's a poor piece of fielding. He seemed to take his eye off the ball.
Up and over and 4 runs. Super shot by Gilchrist.
What a good placement. No one at home, over the top of the ball.
There it goes. Samuels is after that one. Samuels couldn't quite reach it. Fielded by the man at long on. One run to Gilchrist. And that's out. Caught by Hines.
A slight fumble, but safely taken in the end.
Drakes has taken 4 wickets now. This was the end of the innings for Harvey. Australia are 6 down now for 63.
He wasn't there for very long, as his score shows.
And the end of the over. The required run rate is around 5 and over. One more to Gilchrist. It looks as though we're going to be treated to a grandstand finish here. There's just one there. It's straight at Gale. A single to. He looked as if he was home to me. Hurley to continue with his off spin. Hurley to bowl to Bickle. Hurley with the final ball of his spell. Just one run. That over cost 3 runs. The required run rate is around 6 and over. That's straight up in the air. And he's got away with it. An easy single there to Bickle. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. One more for Gilchrist. Wide ball signalled by the umpire. Brilliantly caught.
That was a bad shot. He really seemed to lose concentration.
Samuels gets his first wicket. This was the end of the innings for Bickle. Australia are 7 down now for 70.
Well, with the fall of that wicket, they'll be hoping to mop up the tail.
No!
Gillespie sending him back. Lara is in pursuit. One run to Gilchrist. I think he was easily back in the crease there. And the end of the over. The required run rate is around 6 and over. There's just one there. He's got onto that one. That brings the scores level.
That is a classic cover drive. Foot to the pitch of the ball, and it's disappeared for three.
So one to bowl his leg spin. Hurley is not going to reach that. That was a very confident shot.
That was good cricket from the batsman. He placed it, didn't try to hit it too hard.
Australia won a narrow victory over West Indies. So to sum up then, Australia win by 3. Welcome to the semi-final between Sri Lanka and Australia at Auckland. So the outcome is that Sri Lanka have elected to bat. I think most it's joining players. So let's take a look at the teams. Here's the team for Sri Lanka. They're about to start their innings. Australia require 46 to win. Comfortably held by Kavagatara.
Well taken. He never looked like dropping.
Russ gets his first wicket. We can have a look at that again. Hayden goes for a duck.
That's an extremely long walk when you've been dismissed for a duck.
Brilliant catch.
We're looking for that early wicket, and they weren't disappointed.
Russ gets his second wicket. Russ to bowl to Glenn. This was how the innings ended for Bevan. That's a duck for Bevan.
Out first ball. He'll remember that for a long while.
Dilshan is chasing that one. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. It's straight at Dilshan. There's the first runs of the day for Australia. Russ to Ponting. Stopped by Adapadu. Ponting facing. It's straight to a fielder. A very good over. Only one off it in the end. The required run rate is around 5 and over. Over the infield and racing away for 4. Brilliant, good shot.
What a clever piece of batting. He picked a safe area and just lifted it over the infield.
Damage to Glenn. Lehman waiting at the striker's end. Damage, won't like that at all.
Exciting stuff. He took a risk, but was well rewarded as the ball disappeared over the fence.
Damage, the ball to Glenn. That's been given as a wide.
The umpires are pretty strict on wide deliveries in one-day cricket, so you need to keep the ball pretty straight.
Dilshan is in pursuit.
Yeah.
That's 2 more runs on the board. Ouch, that must have hurt.
Yes, he'll probably have a few bruises to show after this encounter.
Damage to Lehman. It's straight at Jayasuriya.
That was an expensive over for Sri Lanka.
Ponting is now facing. Over the rope, 6 runs off Russ. That came right off the middle of the bat.
He smashed that a long way. Great to watch for the neutral, but the bowler won't be too happy. Yes.
That's out. Caught.
That was an important catch. He did very well to hang on to it.
Russ gets his 3rd wicket. Let's see the action replay of that. Ponting goes for only 6. Russ at the start of his run-up. Pushed through the covers. Got very early by Martin.
The bowler needs to avoid giving away boundaries, so he must keep it tight.
Russ continues. Great shot by Martin. Super shot by Martin.
That is a classic cover drive. Foot to the pitch of the ball, and it's disappeared for four.
Was to Martin. It's straight to a fielder. Martin facing. Runs came from that over. The required run rate is around 2.5 and over. Lehman waiting at the striker's end. They've turned that into 2. That's good running. Goes over the top. Lehman very quickly onto that one.
Well, he just got away with it. Risky shot. I'd recommend keeping the ball on the ground at this stage.
Stopped by Jayasuriya. Foolish running. That's simply throwing wickets away.
I think he realised halfway down that he wasn't going to make it.
This was the end of the innings for Martin. Martin is making his way back to the pavilion. It's in the air, but it's 4 runs. Damage is not impressed.
The bowlers really need to keep it tight at this stage of the match.
Damage with the final ball of his spell. He's gone over the top of that, and it looks like 4 runs. That really was a super stroke.
Well, he just got away with it. Risky shot. I'd recommend keeping the ball on the ground at this stage.
That over cost 14 runs. That's gone a long way. Lehman absolutely smashed that for 6.
That was a super shot. I really didn't think it was too bad a ball.
Welcome to the final between South Africa and Australia at Melbourne. It's with the umpire. So let's take a look at the teams. Here's the lineup for Australia. Are about to start their innings. Done him.
That's the early wicket they were looking for. Now they need to keep the pressure on.
Gets his first wicket. This was the end of the innings for Hayden. That's a duck for Hayden.
Out first ball. He'll remember that for a long while.
Bevan facing. not going to reach that. It was perfectly struck.
What a superb cover drive. He got his foot to the pitch of the ball, kept it down nicely, lovely follow through.
Pollock to bowl to Bevan. It's in the air, but it's 4 runs. Bevan very quickly onto that one.
What a clever piece of batting. He picked a safe area and just lifted it over the in.
That's over the infield and racing away for 4. Picked up very early by Bevan.
He hit that over the field superbly.
Pollock to bowl to Bevan.
Oh dear, that's a poor piece of fielding. He seemed to take his eye off the ball.
Bevan sending him back. 13 runs came from that over for Australia.
Australia will be looking to blast away from the start with fielding restrictions in place.
There it goes, right out of the ground. They'll be looking for that ball for days.
The bowler can't believe it, but it is out of the ground. 6 runs.
Australia move on to 19. Mel has got him.
Great bowling there, perhaps a bit of extra pace, and it went straight through.
Mel gets his first wicket. Let's see the action replay of that. Bevan makes his way back to the dressing room. What a superb catch that is.
Wonderful catch. He did fantastically just to get near it, let alone hang on to it.
Mel gets his second wicket. This was how the wicket fell. Australia are 3 down now for 19.
Well, he hasn't troubled the scorers with that innings.
Mel to Martin. Mel is not impressed. Martin facing. And the end of the over. Pollock at the start of his run-up. Pollock continues. Pollock continues. It's straight to a fielder. Martin waiting at the striker's end. He's cleared the infield. 4 runs. Super shot by Martin.
Well, he just got away with it. Risky shot. I'd recommend keeping the ball on the ground at this stage.
Pollock, the ball to Martin. That's been given as a wide.
The umpires are pretty strict on wide deliveries in one-day cricket, so you need to keep the ball pretty straight.
There'll be runs here. One run to Martin. Rudolph is after that one. The batsman will have to run these. That's 2 more runs on the board. Nell to bowl to Martin. Peterson is in pursuit. Another single to Martin. Nell continues. Nell to Ponting. Nell continues. Ponting waiting at the striker's end. A very good over. Only 1 off it in the end. And Tini to Martin. And Tini to bowl to Martin. It's straight at Smith. Martin facing. He's got that one over the infield and away for 4.
He should be looking to bowl a tighter line at this stage.
Martin waiting at the striker's end. Safely taken by Tiffin.
Well, he just picked the fielder out perfectly with that shot.
And Tini gets his first wicket. This is how the innings ended for Martin. Martin scored 14 runs from 14 balls. He's taken the aerial route there. 4 runs. That's the first boundary for Gilchrist.
He picked that up nicely, and it's got him 4.
5 overs are left for Australia. We're about to see a change in the bowling. cleared the infield. It's the first boundary for Ponting.
He really needs to concentrate on line and length right now to keep the runs down.
Thomas to Ponting. Stopped by Pollock. Was just, he looked as if he was home to me. Gilchrist facing. Gilchrist waiting at the striker's end. Dippenar is chasing that one. The sweeper picks up. Gilchrist, I think he was easily back in the crease there. Cullis to bowl to Ponting. Gone over the top of that, and it looks like 4 runs. The 50 is up for Australia.
The bowlers really need to keep it tight at this stage of the match.
They have 6 wickets in hand. Hit straight to a fielder. 10 runs came from that over by Cullis.
This quick run rate will ensure they set the opposition a big target, as long as this can last the innings.
Great stop. Two runs to Gilchrist. Just 1 run. And Tini continues. It's in the air, but it's 4 runs. Really struck that well.
Over pitch to him, and you can guarantee it'll get punished.
Continue to Ponting. It's straight at Smith. 3 overs are left in the innings. An easy single there to Gilchrist. Over the top and away for 4. Danced down the pitch and smashed it for 4.
What a clever piece of batting. He picked a safe area and just lifted it over the infield.
One more to Ponting. Gilchrist facing. That's over the rope. 6 runs off Cullis won't like that at all.
The bowler won't like that one little bit.
Cullis with the final ball of his spell. Up and over and 4 runs. Cullis is not impressed.
The bowler needs to avoid giving away boundaries, so he must keep it tight.
That over cost 16 runs. Bantini cuts that off. They've turned that into 2. That's good running. Australia move on to 76. Ponting waiting at the striker's end. What an amazing catch.
Straight down the fielder's throat. The batsman will be kicking this.
Paul gets his first wicket. We can have a look at that again. So then, that's the end of Ponting.
He didn't seem to have any problems once he got his eye in, so he'll be disappointed to get out now.
He smacked that over the top and been rewarded with 4. It was a brilliant quick shot.
Well, it was in the air, but there's no one there. No risk.
Harvey waiting at the striker's end. It's gone way into the stands. 6 runs. Harvey absolutely smashed that for 6.
It doesn't really matter if it goes in the air if you hit it that far.
Another run to Harvey. Is in pursuit. Fielded in the deep by Pollock. That's 2 more runs on the board. 11 runs came from that over.
Some good attacking batting here by Australia.
Just 1 run. He didn't stray far from his crease, but that was all the keeper needed.
Excellent wicket keeping. The batsman only just straight out of his crease.
Peterson gets his first wicket. This was the end of the innings for Gilchrist. Gilchrist makes his way back to the dressing room.
He got himself settled and then gave his wicket away. He'll be disappointed with that.
Foolish running. That's simply throwing wickets away.
What a piece of fielding. His pick-up and throw were instantaneous.
Let's see the action replay of that. Australia are 7 down now for 90.
Now that the tail is exposed, they need to...
Safely taken by Smith.
He got into great position to take that catch.
Peterson gets his second wicket. This is how the innings ended for Harvey. Harvey goes for only 12. Pollock is after it. One run to McGill. That brings the innings to a close with a total at 8 for 92. South Africa are about to start their innings. ball signalled by the umpire.
There are stricter rules on wides in one-day cricket, so you need to be careful not to drift down the leg side.
Australia have won a hard-fought contest here. So to sum up then, Australia win by 23 runs.